Well, hello, friends. Here we are in episode 5, and this is the one where we're going to finish the build. We're at step 24, and right now we've got the torso again. I did the repair on the shoulder joint, it's working real well. I used this epoxy here, the JB Weld plastic bonder. Has a 15-minute setup time, and I'll do a little bit of video on that a little bit later, but as you can see, it's working real well. So we're going to finish up with the rest of the guy. Otherwise, he kind of looks like a midget or one of those SD Gundams. I'm just messing around. Anyway, let's get to work here. Put that aside, and we're going to get to clipping, or I say nipping, that is. Taking the parts out and moving on. And while I go ahead and start doing that, I'll cut to the video that shows you exactly how I repaired the shoulder. You can see here we have the broken piece off to the left and the torso. And here's me trying to get the doggone cap off of the epoxy plastic bond. Trying to figure it out, there it goes. And of course I squeezed a little bit out. The package comes with a built-in mixing tray. Of course, you're going to only use it once, and I didn't need that much. So I pulled the plunger back in a little bit, and I put the plug back in because you never know when I'm going to need this, and I didn't want it to dry out because I'm always breaking stuff, and I need epoxy. All right, let's put that aside, and with the included little mini popsicle stick, I go ahead and start mixing up the two components. Now this has a setup time of 15 minutes, so it gives you plenty of time to make sure everything is mixed properly. Because if you don't, then you're not going to get the two different components to work. One is, a hardener, and then the other piece is uh, the, I don't know, the stuff that gets hard, whatever you want to call it. um, so I just keep on mixing till I get a pretty consistent feel to it, or a consistent consistency, and to be redundant. Now, the piece that broke off was really small. Like it had a mounting of only about a couple of millimeters wide, or excuse me, a couple of millimeters thick and a few millimeters wide. And when I was trying to pull the arm off to do a reassemble for the other episode, I snapped it off. And so I definitely didn't do it to the next one. So basically, what I'm going to be doing here is just filling the whole void in that shoulder and putting the arm back onto it. And it fits pretty good. The distancing of where it should be might be a little bit closer than the other one, but it is being spaced out by the part that broke off. And right about this part, I remembered, oh, I need a toothpick. So in comes my wife to save me because I'm trying to glue this and I didn't remember to get one. So she just tells me, just leave these here. And I get a toothpick from her. And what I'm doing here is just making sure that none of the epoxy gets into the shoulder joint into the arm, because I do want this shoulder to still move up and down. Now, it does take 15 minutes to set up, so while I am cleaning this, I'm trying to make sure it's sitting properly. And once I figure out where I want it to sit, basically I just set it down in that position and hope for the best. And it actually turned out really well. The arm works properly as it should, and it's probably stronger than the unbroken shoulder. So I was pretty happy um, with this fix. I mean, it's in a really tight area where a little bit of paint and you're not even going to notice. So this is how I laid it up in order for it to set up, and it turned out perfect. Moving on with the assembly, you can see I've already cut out the parts and put together the leg, and it seems to be working pretty well. Here is the uh, lower portion where the joints for the legs are going to go, like I guess the hips. I make a big mistake here, which is going to bite me in the end because I'm going to have to uh, disassemble some of this and fix it because I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. So here we go. I've got that front part of the uh, hip area with the armor skirt on the front and the hose is assembled. I'm putting on grenades for the rear portion of the armored skirt. And then I try to start assembling it, and the legs go on okay. They just pop onto these ball joints and they seem okay. But when I get the rear part, things don't mate up well. And that's because the front part is not on there right. And you're going to see the problems I have when I start to try to put the torso on the lower portion. It's not fitting, it's not going on. Something is definitely wrong. And you just saw a part fly off right there. Fortunately, it didn't break, it just snapped. And I am scratching my head and trying to figure out what the hell I did wrong. So I stop, take a break, and take things apart. And then I finally figured out that the front skirt, was supposed to slide into a socket so that when the legs move forward, it will move forward as well. So I put the hoses back on and they fit like they should. Yeah, when I put them on the first time, I was struggling, but you can see right here, it's pretty simple. So that's kind of something that I've been learning is like, if you're struggling on these kits, you're probably not doing it right. So here I am. It's just going in really smoothly. I'm just putting in enough or putting on enough pressure to get it seated, and it looks a lot better uh, from my point of view now. I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh yeah, that torso should totally fit in there now. And the hoses on the side aren't stressed and waiting to pop off like it did the first time. So I'm just kind of lining things up. Some of those pieces do move, getting the arm out of the way here and placing the torso on the lower portion. And it fits perfect. Goes right on to where it's supposed to be. Check the motion of the arms. That's good. And see if it stands. Well, before I make it stand, I'm putting on um, the hawk on the back, putting the mount first. This thing's kind of tiny, and my clumsy hands keep on dropping it. Yeah, struggle, 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 as my wife would say, on the struggle bus. And I finally get it in there. And that's where the hawk clips on. Just like that. Now, I check his stance. And as you can see, he stands pretty good. And that's the completed gunpla right there. Arms move, twist, wrist twists, same type of motion on the side with that independent moving shoulder shield. So you get the same movement on either arm. And I was just thinking to myself, well, that's pretty cool. It's got little details there, the grenade. It's got the hawk on the back, but I can't imagine this being a toy because if I went through all this as a kid and building it, it would not, uh, it would not play well. I mean, the joints move really well. It's a model. It's made for posing into different uh, action poses, I guess you could say. Those ankles move and everything. There's stands that you could put them on so that they could look like they fly. And that's pretty much all you could really do with it. You really don't want to play with these. And at 55 years old, I'm not going to be playing with it, but I will be taking some pictures. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this portion of it. I'm done with the build, but I think I can do better with a little bit of paint, getting it ready for that diorama I want to do. So please, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you got any questions or comments, please leave them down below and be nice. And if you have a conversation in my comment section, be nice to everybody. This isn't a place for negativity. So I'm going to play with my little Gundam for a little bit, and I'll see you in the next episode.